I like it's a good angle for you.
They really made Truman out to be like a real douchebag about the whole situation. Good thing Homeboy's dead. He would not be happy.
Welcome to Show Boys. We're here another Thursday, another podcast. Nick is here with us. He's back from vacation, back from the beach. Dad is here. Chad's at work. And we're going to do something we haven't done in quite a long time. And that's just talk about what we've been watching lately. It would be fun to just kick back and talk about the random stuff we've been watching in our spare time. Dad, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Say you're doing Mick Awesome.
Mick Awesome.
Have you worked at McDonald's?
No.
That looks like a McDonald's employee shirt.
But only the assistant managers would get that shirt.
I stole it.
I think this was actually, I was going to say I was a Goodwill buy, but I actually think this was purchased at Walmart back in the day.
Back in the day. Walmart graphic tee section.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to go to that section anymore.
How you doing, Nick? Back fresh from the beach. How was it?
Yeah.
Beach was good. Boys loved it. I described it to the one kid who was there. I was like, beach without kids is like zeros and positive numbers, but with kids, it's whatever grade they introduce negative numbers to you in.
Wow.
It's like third grade. And it's like all of a sudden, like this can be a negativecation before it goes back to vacation. Like it's got ups and downs. You're trying to hit zero the whole time. Just neutral, just like peace.
Yeah, man. It's like it's something that I always tell people who are not parents, like, dude, sometimes going on vacation with kids is more work than not going on vacation. Well, we better get to the topic before commenters let us know that it's been 10 minutes and we haven't even talked about the topic yet. So thank you, our lovely patron members, Joe C, Yusuf H, Tim B. You guys rock. We appreciate you. All of our other patrons, you guys are awesome too. Thank you for your support. We have a fun Patreon series starting in June, going through definitely August, maybe September. But we're going to do another playthrough series. Excited for this one. We're going to be playing through The Pale Beyond, a game that I tried out a couple months ago. Had a lot of fun with, and thought it'd be fun to play together with you guys and talk about it. It's a lot of story, narrative choices, options, directions the game could go. So yeah, it's fun. We're going to be recording the first section of it here in the next couple of days. Looking forward to that. That will be our Patreon exclusive episode for the next couple months. So make sure you sign up and play along with us and let us know how you like The Pale Beyond. But tonight we're going to be talking about what we're watching. And Dad, you've been like chatting with us in Discord and with me, according to Nick, in our dreamy boomer Facebook chat about all of the amazing shows you've been watching lately. So I know you're going to have a lot to say. I'm interested to hear what Nick's been watching. I don't know. He's like a wild card over there.
Don't really know what he's up to until he tells us.
He is rocking an awesome shirt that fits almost exactly everything that I've been watching, and that is an amazing World War II shirt. But yeah, Dad, you want to start us off with something you've been watching lately?
Sure, I would love to. So first on my list is Invasion Season 2, an Apple original. We talked about this, I think it was last year, Season 1. I was complaining how slow it was. And a little less alien, more people-centric, and that's kind of lame sometimes. Especially when you hear Alien Invasion show, you think Alien Invasion. But anyway, Season 2 picks up, obviously, where that one left off. You've got your three groups. I don't know if you guys have seen any of this.
I've seen Season 1. I haven't seen Season 2 yet.
So I recommend it. They did ramp up the alien bit quite a bit, actually. Introduced a new type of alien. Very terrifying, I must say. They're like
blood
alien hellhound type creature things. I don't know how to describe these things, but they're very fast and they travel in packs. They look unlike anything I've ever seen And so they're kind of hard to explain. Just crazy, scary alien monster thing. There's so much story going on. We could probably spend a whole episode just on what's happening.
Is this better than Foundation?
Oh, you've seen Foundation, right?
Two totally different shows. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, this is better than Secret Invasion.
Dude, just staring at the wall is better than Secret Invasion.
the worst parts of Invasion are better than Secret Invasion.
Being an Apple Plus show just gives it a leg up.
It does, really. The characters are fleshed out a little bit more too. I've kind of become invested in more of them because of season. And I actually took a break probably halfway through season 2 because of whatever stuff, life, other
COVID.
Took a COVID break.
I just, I just took a break.
Chad
It's
had COVID, so I just kind of shut down.
everything. Everything is blamed on COVID.
I'm actually sorry. I'm currently getting distracted by like the mic arm that's protruding.
I'm sorry.
Out of the
I
corner.
can't. I like tried to fix it, and it's just not going away. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
It's
He's got
actually
really
coming
distracted
out
by
of his camera lens.
It's actually a part of an alien artifact.
I was like, that spring is really close.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm trying to fix it, and I'm
There's
making it worse.
nope. I want to see the bolt.
You want to see the bolt? Okay.
There you go. Nice.
I can see your show notes.
Yeah,
There we go.
that was- good thing you didn't have anything
Bad.
crazy on that screen. I like it's a good angle for you.
Secret Invasion.
Not Secret Invasion. Oh my gosh. Okay. Invasion follows three groups of people all handling this invasion in their own way. And in this season, they actually discovered a way to like fight back against the aliens. And one of the, I don't know what she is, scientist, Suki or whatever her name is, she is able to communicate telepathically in a way.
In season 1, she's the one that ended off like at the crash site, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
And so she gets hooked up with this other team of scientists, and there's a portal that she's able to communicate with, which is pretty wild. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away because there's just so much. And if you guys plan on watching it, I don't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah.
I will say the finale of season 2 totally shocked me. I had a feeling something was going on with one of the characters. I just couldn't place it. But then thinking back on the things that were said to that character, I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Because there's like a pretty crazy reveal at the end that I'm like, oh my gosh. It's a moment where like there's two people and they're like in a place alone.
So he does my reviews now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying not to give anything away.
It's
and
so
it's really
funny,
difficult.
like trying to explain stuff spoiler free. Like there are
It's
these
so
characters, and they're at this location.
There's a
and then
reveal, and they
they
foreshadowed it.
Yeah, they have a conversation.
What I can say is that one of the main missions was to get to the mothership. So two people end up there.
Spoiler. This is season 2. Do they have like a number of seasons in mind?
Not that I've seen, but I think they did get renewed for a season 3. That's good because I want to see more.
So if there was no season 3, this probably would not have been a great ending.
It would be the dumbest ending ever.
Nice. Nice. I was a huge fan of I've always been a fan of, like, even in zombie stuff. The reason I like the Fear of the Walking Dead at first was because it shows the rare moments when the apocalypse happens, and in Invasion's case, it's the moments that the invasion is happening, and I think that's really cool because most of the time everything is post invasion, post apocalypse, and
Fallout.
it's just the people living in that world as the result of whatever the catastrophe was. So season 1 was really, really cool. I really liked it, and I thought they did a tremendous job of weaving the different storylines. You joked around about Fallout, but kind of like how Fallout did with weaving the different characters' stories and eventually having them cross threads multiple times in the season. I feel like Invasion did that really, really well in season 1.
And they continued.
Nice. That's good. Nick, what's something you've been watching lately?
Well, something I have seen since we've all spoken last on the podcast
Yes,
is
that's the topic.
Is something that could come off as potentially an alien invasion. It could be anything, but Leave the World Behind. That little
yes.
flick.
Love
I
that
enjoyed it
movie.
quite much. My wife was like, that was the dumbest ending ever. I'm like, but it was cool. Like, what'd you want to do? Another 2 hours? Like, that's basically another movie, how it
Mhm.
ends. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. But obviously, the camera work in that movie is just phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
it just, and also just like screams like, who was that, Ishmael?
Sam Esmail.
Oh, look, it's like, how do they get the shot? Like
Mhm.
when they're panning through this house is otherwise like fairly contiguous. Like it looks like just like a whole house, but they're somehow moving the camera through like walls and roofs and floors. Is that a special effect, you think, or are they actually?
I think obviously panning left to right through rooms or even like over top of rooms, that can be
Yeah,
done like practically, building a set and, having room for the camera to move like that. But like descending through floors, I
yeah.
feel like that probably is like a CGI thing unless they
But
get
even
like really intricate with the way their sets are built.
Yeah, but the issue is that like they go outside, like when he would pan from a room, go outside, follow them from the outside through the windows, and then back into the house. Like it's a
Mhm.
house. Like are they?
Yeah.
It just blows my
But
mind how
they
they.
have there's a behind the scenes thing I saw with Mr. Robot, obviously Sam Esmail, creator of Mr. Robot. But one scene where Elliot and Mr. Robot, they're on the subway, the train, and they're in one car talking, arguing, or whatever, and Elliot leaves and walks to the car, a different car. And when he gets there, he sits down and the camera pans over Mr. Robot sitting there. Well, the behind the scenes thing, they're on the one car.
Yeah,
He walks through, the cameras like come out, show the outside of the train, him walking through it. They get in the next door, sit down, and while that's going on, like Christian Slater's like running around, like trying to stay out of camera view to like sit down really quickly on the other side. So when the camera turns around, he's sitting there. It was really cool to watch. When you see how those scenes were shot and made, like it gives you such a greater appreciation for the actors obviously, but the
yeah,
cinematographers and the vision that they have in their mind and how they're able to control the angles and the camera. It's just really, really, there's so much work. It's like a choreographed dance. It's great.
yeah. With the whole Christian Slater thing, it explains like why his facial expression was the way it was in that show at times, where it's just like very like
It's like
tense
he's
and
out of
like
breath. What do you think about the story of Leaves the World Behind?
I liked it. I mean, obviously, good stack of actors. We had both. Was it Kevin Bacon was in it,
Yeah.
but also a guy that looks a lot like Kevin Bacon that I forget his name, but he's in a bunch of other stuff. I like it when those two met. I was like, you guys could be brothers. I
Cool.
like the story. I like the way it started off, and it's just got this like really eerie creepiness to it, right? And obviously, it's one of those like not fake out, but they don't at all reveal what is going on.
Mhm.
No one really knows what's going on, if anything at all is happening. But I like the connection to like the idea of how something like that could happen in that like three phases, like knockout communications,
Mhm.
misinformation, and then just kind of self-destruction, if you
Yeah.
will, or invasion. So I would be down for a sequel. Just ride that one out. That was really cool. But yeah, I did enjoy that.
I think
The ship
that
crashing on the beach was cool. I was thinking
Oh,
about
was-
that while on vacation.
yeah, that'd be pretty wild.
We're driving to the beach. We're crossing a bridge in West Virginia, and there's like a big ass river below it. Aaron's like, "Oh yeah, we have to look out for that these days."
Hey, it might be a little too soon with the whole Maryland thing too. I will always be here for any Sam Esmail stuff. So like, please make more stuff because it's
Yeah.
usually good. I think
Absolutely.
Kevin Bacon brother you're talking about. Kevin Bacon's could be like body double Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, yeah. At
But
least
yeah,
they're
I mean his headshot on IMDb basically looks like somebody cosplaying as Kevin Bacon. So, but Julia Roberts, she was in the really, really cool Prime show Homecoming that Sam was an EP on. That show was really interesting. It's only 2 seasons. Really weird story. Bobby Cannavale's in it. If you're interested,
Bobby.
yeah, I would recommend that. If you're ever like, man, I have nothing to watch. What could I watch? 2 seasons, bang it out. Really interesting story. Good stuff. So, any last things you want to say about it before we move on?
I just really
Nothing.
like the premise, right? Like, even if people didn't like the movie, I think the premise is very thoughtful and people to think about. Because if everyone had that in mind, it wouldn't happen the way it happens. But you know, what goes down.
Yeah, and much he likes to use a lot of imagery and symbolism and use of like colors and things like that to convey the message of what he's trying to get across. There's a deep hole that you could fall down, like trying to interpret the things that he does in that movie. So if you're into that kind of stuff, I recommend it. And sounds like you're mildly recommending it.
Oh, I definitely recommend it. Though, granted, it's probably not for everyone. It's got a weird pace to it. And like it almost has like a whodunit vibe at the beginning. They're trying to throw you off, I think,
Yeah.
with intentional or not. I think it kind of slips its way in there. It's like murder mystery. What's going on? No one knows. This movie doesn't know.
Okay. So Nick, we've talked about doing an episode on this, and I think we will be doing an episode on this. One thing I've watched that we haven't talked about specifically on an episode would be Rebel Moon, The Scargiver, Part 2.
What?
And oh my goodness, guys.
You loved it.
I think
It's
we
your boy.
finally we found a movie of Zack Snyder's that I don't think I can defend.
Ouch.
Wow.
Yeah. So we tossed around the idea of doing an episode, and we are going to do an episode because we did an episode on part 1, so we got to do an episode on part 2.
We kicked it on the sake of like scheduling better things, and Mike kind of attesting that it was not
worth
the best, most relevant
it's
thing
not
to
the,
talk about.
I'm a huge Snyder fan. Up until this point, I've tried to stand on my soapbox and defend the man and his projects. I just don't know if I could do it on this one because it's a movie that I was excited to watch because I thought part 1 was above average. I wouldn't necessarily say great, but I would say it was maybe a little better than good.
I wonder who at Disney's like, and this is why we didn't let him do that.
Part 1 was just leading up to a massive conflict, right? But then the first half of part 2 was just leading up to a massive conflict. And I'm like, I literally just watched an entire movie that led up to the conflict that this movie was supposed to be all about. Especially because up to it releasing, he's like, yeah, this movie's basically just war. And I'm like, awesome, because that's kind of where we were going. And then the first hour of this movie, I was just like, are we really doing this?
And trying to figure out which camera filter he wanted.
It was actually just them walking to the battle in slow motion for 40 minutes.
Film grain, no film grain.
But like, I would be okay if there was still like a build up to the conflict, but the way they handled the build up was like, I'm like, dude, did a 3rd grader write this for you? Did they have like an assignment of like create a story about a group of people getting ready to go to battle? I'm looking forward to Nick having to sit through and watch this movie so we can have an episode where we just tear it apart because it deserves to be torn apart. And if you watch this movie,
Everything I've seen about it,
I-
people tear it apart.
Yeah, but
I-
okay. Anything Snyder puts out, people tear apart because it's like America's new favorite pastime. It's like, oh, watch the NFL, watch the MLB, maybe watch the NBA finals. Let's tear apart every single thing Zack Snyder does. Those are like America's hobbies. I don't think it's warranted.
My
But
team
man,
lost.
exactly. Exactly, dude. I feel like that's what America does. But this one actually deserved it, and it made me sad. If you've watched this on the recommendation of us for some reason because of part one, I apologize. I sincerely apologize. If you have not watched this movie yet, don't watch this movie unless you want to come back and listen to our episode where we talk about it. We're getting director's cuts of both movies that are like a million hours long.
Seriously?
Yeah, he actually had a pretty
Black
interesting.
and white.
He was on Rogan before this movie came out, and it was a pretty interesting conversation. I enjoyed it, but that conversation got me hyped up for the movie, and then he basically just kicked me in the nuts. Go ahead, Dad. What's the next thing you've been watching?
Three Body Problem. Another alien type deal. It starts off in like the 60s in China, following a dude really messed up over there, like during this time. Like there's a cultural revolution going on, and they don't like scientists or whatever. I don't know enough about.
And the actual 60s that happened in real life.
Honestly?
I mean, from what Mike and I have been watching lately, the 60s and the 50s were kind of messed
That was
up
pretty
as
wild.
they were.
I mean, they
Jesus.
they essentially tortured a dude on stage in front of a group of people
Yeah, being
Because-
communist kind of sucks.
because
Yeah.
he was a teacher talking about the stuff he was talking about. about
No, communism is great.
duh.
It's this evil democracy we live in.
Yeah, you're right.
Fucking sucks.
So they kind of follow her for a minute, and she goes through a bunch of crap, as you would in China then. And being a woman, she did not have a good time. The Chinese military ended up using her skills to like a communications type thing. Like
Oh, that's a plot twist.
they have a huge satellite thing, and she makes contact.
They need to quit stereotyping all the Asian women characters to be these conduits of conversation with these alien species.
Some conversation.
And then it kind of like goes like back and forth from the past to like, at some points like 400 years into the future. But it's around a group of tight-knit group of scientists. Like they all just happen to be friends, and they're all important for some reason or another.
Game of Thrones, Samwise Gamgee.
He
Yep.
is.
He is.
Yes,
It's from some people involved with Game of Thrones. I know that.
that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, it's the Weiss. It's those two guys. The
Benioff and
Directors.
Weiss.
I want to watch because I want to know how the show's plot relates to like the actual three body problem.
How do you
can
explain
loosely
that to a
explain
big dumb like me?
Okay. Loosely explaining it in one sense would be saying so typically like there is an object and then like there's something that orbits the object, right? So
Okay.
you want to talk about planets, right? Well, it's the idea that there is also like a third object out there with those orbits. And as they do their orbits, they are unpredictable, like
Mhm.
through space and
It's
time.
unstable. Yep.
It's unstable. So it's like typically orbits, math, all that kind of stuff, it's predictable. It has patterns. But you introduce like a third body to the equation, it's like it's an unstable orbit, if you will. So like they're moving through space and time in an irregular fashion, and it can't be
Okay.
like figured out. And those third bodies are often like unknown if they do exist or not. So it's like kind of elusive.
Interesting.
And
It's
the
weird.
issue with this is it's like civilization ending catastrophic things. So like throughout history, they have sent these like VR headsets to random people to play a
Nice.
game to help solve their problems. To
The
help,
advanced civilization.
they're
send it
looking
to-
throughout history to find the
Yeah.
brightest minds to help solve their problems because our science advances quicker than theirs. Plus, their civilization gets wrecked every so often. So they'll have someone sign into the game and go to a leader of the time and have all these brilliant minds come and pitch their idea to the king or whoever's ruling to say, is it going to be stable or unstable? Are we going to have years of destruction or years of prosperity? Something like that. So they're basically predicting their fate. Very interesting. But the way they ended, man, it's so crazy because like I feel like this advanced civilization knows so much more than they're letting on because they're essentially at one point playing tricks on their world, like our world on Earth. Like they basically make the sky wink, like they kind of make it all go dark for a second and turn back on. Like they're just messing with our brains. Like this is the power that we have, and we can do whatever we want with you or to you. It's wild.
Yeah, it
Sounds
sounds
like
really
it.
crazy.
And there's one of the craziest parts is that they're trying to get the scientists to stop like certain parts of their research, which doesn't make sense. Like they want their help, but they're saying you need to stop because whatever reason. But the cool thing is like the one girl, she sees like this timer like in her vision clearly because she's like working on this nano tech, like a nanofiber technology. She's like, you got to stop working on this project or something's going to happen. Like, and she has no idea what's going to happen. So she stopped doing it. But there is one really crazy moment in the show that was similar to the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones because it was so brutal, and it has to do with that nanofiber technology, and it has to do with a boat going through a canal. It is the craziest moment that I've seen in a show.
Wow, thanks.
Wow, dude. Knowing about the Red Wedding is a spoiler.
Well, there you go. That should give you like, yeah, that should make you want to see it because you want to. Is it anything like it?
Have you seen Game of Thrones, Jeff?
No.
Okay. I just watched it like what, two years ago? Has it been 2 years?
Probably been 2 years.
Yeah, the Red Wedding was definitely a holy cow moment, that's for sure.
This
So you
is.
just don't know when it happens or how it happens or who it happens to.
I did watch a little bit of that moment of the Red Wedding.
Are you never going to watch Game of Thrones?
I mean, I probably will at some point.
Well, stop doing what you just did if you're ever planning on watching this show.
Well, I was just trying to see
Yeah.
like what's so crazy about it.
But like, I don't think that
You have to have context.
without context, it's not like that
It's,
crazy.
but like,
Correct. Context wise, it's insanity.
Yeah, you're just like, what just happened?
this is a pretty wild moment in the show.
Recommend, sounds like.
Yes. And they're doing more. I don't know if they're doing like a full season, but they do want to tell more of the story, which they probably should because they kind of left it wide open. They sent someone to space to try to meet up with this advanced civilization.
What was it, the Chinese woman?
It was not. It's just
Interesting.
some basic white dude.
Oh, I feel like that's gonna fail.
Subverting our expectations.
What have you been watching, Nick? Anything else?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I've watched the extended editions of Fellowship and Two Towers. Now
Wow.
I have returned to King to do. It's probably been 10 years since I've watched maybe 5
Nice.
years. It's been a while. Definitely enjoying them. I did some Reddit research, right? Because that's where you go to get real answers on the internet.
Of course.
It isn't a true 4K like rendering of the movie. It's like an upscaled version. So I guess like it wasn't filmed good enough, but I thought they filmed it on like the best possible everything, but I guess not. It's like a very cleaned up, upscaled Blu-ray version. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pop in the Blu-rays, see how they look. They look really nice. So I was like, I'll just stick with my Blu-rays because they're really nice. But if you have like DVD versions, you should get the 4Ks because people also said they fixed the like green tint Return of the King had, which I was like, yeah, it does have a green tint. Thanks a lot, internet, for ruining that for me. So
Nice.
been watching that, and I'm just like, wow, man! Like when Aragorn becomes king, and like the end of all of it,
Spoilers, dude. Jeez.
it's like they've been setting this up since the Fellowship. It doesn't just like pop out of nowhere. It's like I am king because dead guy said so.
Yeah, I watched Fellowship Extended sometime last year, and it was awesome. And then I
Oh, so good.
never made it to Two Towers for some reason. But now you talking about it the other day, I was like, oh yeah, I should continue watching those because that was awesome.
Yeah, and like let's see here. First disc of Fellowship is hour and a half, and then it's like an hour and 45 on disc 2. And then disc 1 of Towers is an hour and 45, and disc 2 is 2 hours. So they just progressively start adding 15, 30 minutes to
Oh,
each
nice.
disc. I'm excited to see what Return of the King has time wise. But yeah, they just like completely, someone was just like, listen, Mr. Jackson, the whole Aragon story thing, just cut 80% of him out of it. He's not that important
Until he is.
until he is. But what about the elves and all that stuff? Just give them like 2 minutes because their stuff's also unimportant.
Yeah.
Just lots of Frodo and Sam, but also cut a lot of that out too.
Just cut it all out.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Moral of the story is editors suck.
No, it's like it's not editors. They're just doing their job. It's whatever powers that be that are like, the movie is too long. It's going to do better if it's shorter. Whoever those people are.
This group said.
Yeah, exactly. I'm picturing like Loki, and it's the timekeepers that don't really exist.
Too long.
So as I look at my next thing, I've realized basically the majority of the things I've watched this year have been movies. I've kind of mentioned that before. For some
Movie
reason, my watching trend this year has shifted to movies over shows. No explanation really. I don't know why, but I've just been enjoying myself a good movie.
It is what it is.
Yeah. And the next thing that I watched was another Netflix, not original, but a find on Netflix, and that was 65 with Adam Driver. Nice little
Ah,
I also watched
sci-fi
that.
dinosaur movie.
It was
Slightly better than above average.
the way I felt about it was it's Jurassic Park and with Kylo Ren. Like the dinosaurs look cool, but I'm like, they're like definitely like the B tier dinosaurs compared to Jurassic Park.
It does have one of the most epic scenes though.
Sure.
Like when they're in the cave and it's thunderstorming and the lightning flashes and you just see the silhouette of the T-Rex. Maybe one of the best shots involving a dinosaur I've ever seen. I was like, bro, that's pure gold right there. The story is like, okay, it's got like a cool premise, but
it's one of those like it like you're in and then you're out and then it's just kind of over. There is no like tragedy like to it. It's just like things just happen and then it's over. Really.
It's not super deep. It's, Joel and Ellie, Mando and Baby Yoda type. Father loses a child, finds
they couldn't
a
get
random
Pedro
one.
for it, so they got Kylo.
Yeah, what's up with this new well, it's not new now, but this trend of stories of just like former fathers finding fatherless children and just like picking them up.
Well, You
like,
know,
yeah, well, I mean, this one's alright. If you are looking for like I wouldn't even, I can't call it completely like a background movie, but it's almost like just a movie to have on in the background and like watch, watch, if you feel like. It was pretty fun, but nothing groundbreaking, nothing super deep or doing anything that
the
hasn't been done
opening
before.
was the opening set the bar really high visually with the whole like space
Mhm.
travel, where they were just like going through like cosmic dust. Like it just
Yeah,
looked really cool. I'm like,
yeah.
what's going on? What is this
I
about?
I thought I don't want to. Well, I mean, it's like a couple years old, but like I still want to like spoil the end
It
because
came out
the
last year,
It's
oh
it's
dang, dude.
freshy
March, I
and
think.
Eddie.
Okay, well, I won't spoil the end, but the reveal that happens at the end is kind of cool.
Just like
I
be
was just
careful.
like, okay, that was pretty cool. The reveal that happens at the end, I thought was really cool. Made it worthwhile, and the way that maybe a dinosaur dies towards the end was also pretty awesome. I don't want to like reveal too much if Jeff plans on watching this, or do you care?
I
I
don't
mean, you
care.
you went and watched the Red Wedding, so what am I talking about?
He
So
clearly
Basically,
that
the
was
kid
lame.
like stabs a T-Rex to death with the equivalent of a toothpick, and I was like, wow, that was pretty rad.
I'm
But
out. You
it was
lost
pretty
me.
cool. But yeah, so 65. It was fun movie. Had a fun time.
Don't recommend.
I would say if you're really
It's like
bored,
a 5 out of 10 in Kylo Ren.
yeah, if you want to, I
And
mean, you could
kids.
just tube the cool, like maybe the most
No, you don't have
epic
to like
dinosaur
kids.
shot ever. I only have one more thing. Jeff has like 17, I think. We'll keep going around, but Jeff, what's the next thing?
So the next show, I've been on a show kick, man. It just kind of happened.
The yin to my
Attaboy.
yang.
Yeah. So the next one is another Apple original, a new one, and it's called Sugar.
Is it over yet, or is it still being released?
It just finished last
Oh, okay.
Wednesday. It's got Colin Farrell in it. He is a private investigator who works in LA, and he is hired outside of like the normal structure of his company. The dude is Jonathan Siegel. His granddaughter gets taken, or she's missing. Rich LA family. He takes a special interest in this case because of reasons. But then the family's kind of weird about it. Like, it's actually the granddaughter that is taken, and like her own dad isn't even that concerned for some weird reason because she's a troubled kid. Probably, this was said that it happens often, that she'll come around. She's probably just getting high somewhere.
What they did to those kids in Sparta, they just threw them off that cliff.
Yeah.
Someone's got to do it.
And they kind of did that to her.
Mm.
No, I'm kidding.
No? Zack Snyder do this?
No. This was such a
That was a 300 reference, by the way, if anyone picked up on that. I don't support throwing children off cliffs.
I think you prefaced it with in Sparta.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone got that, thanks.
Just cut all that out.
I'm gonna cut all that out. Man.
Mike being
You can't land them all.
that
You can't land them all, guys.
It's okay. It's okay.
own Apple Plus. Do you watch anything else?
Dude,
I've got
Apple's
Netflix.
just got a lot of
Apple,
good
the theme that Apple's got going on is just great.
Good.
Yeah. It was different. The show's different. It flows different than anything I've recently have seen. Kind of slow, but like there's just something about it. It's got like, I don't know. and it just pulls you in slowly. It's like a nice little
It's
kiss.
the Colin Farrell effect.
Dude.
Dude,
And
I
I
don't-
literally was gonna
don't-
say that. Like, are you
Yeah.
in my brain, Nick?
Man,
this show made me
like,
realize how
he
great
looks
he
like a
is.
bunch of other people, but do I like him as an actor? I can't tell. I need to keep watching. He looks like every other white guy in Hollywood, but he's good.
I thought he was great. He
Right.
actually helped direct this. It also has a lot of old-timey clips from old movies. His character loves old-time movies, and it's actually kind of a plot point also. There is a twist in this show that kicked me in the nuts because I was not expecting it. It just came out of nowhere. And it was jarring at first. But then I kept watching. It was cool the way they kind of tied everything together.
You have fun with it?
I really
Fun show.
did. It's
can
a very fun show. Because it was different. And it like
It's got a cool name too.
yeah, it's good. It's got obviously it's got Colin Farrell. Amy Ryan is in this.
Hmm.
If you know her.
Not to be confused with Amy Adams, right?
Correct.
Good.
Last time I saw her was in The Office. Totally different character than that. There are 8 episodes in
Okay.
this. No confirmation of a season 2. Hopefully they do renew it because they kind of just left it wide open.
They didn't tie up the loose ends, huh?
They did not.
This could end, or it could not.
They solved the main plot point of the
There you go.
season, but then like 3/4 of the way through, like dropped another bomb on you. And you're like, oh, this is going on now. And that isn't wrapped up. I like it. I like the weird shows.
The trailer looked good. I need to start using Apple Plus as like a me streaming service and not a we streaming service, like me and my wife. I can watch so many more shows, and there's so many more shows to watch on there. I've played the Foundation trailer like 5 times for her. It's not sticking. She just stares at her phone. I'm like, this one?
Yeah.
This one looks good.
Maybe one day it'll click.
I would say this one might hold her attention until like 3/4 of the way through, and then she might be out for like the last 2-3 episodes.
Nice. It's when they go to
Good.
space and use math to like stop an alien invasion. Have you been watching
Yes,
anything else,
recommend it.
Nick? Or
I've been chipping away at that Turning Point series, The Bomb in the Cold War.
have you finished?
I'm on like episode 4 or something, just like
Oh,
chipping
geez.
away at it.
Because we need to talk about that.
Yeah, but I like digesting that show in the evening for 30-40 minutes and just being like, wow.
Yeah.
First off,
There's a lot.
I was just like, what are we talking about now? Holy crap. Not too long ago, they were enlightening me. I asked my grandma about this as a fact check because she's like 92 or whatever. So she's been there because they're like in 54 and they're talking about 54. I'm like, my dad was born in 54. My grandma was well, like, of
Yeah.
memory and stuff. So I asked her, I was like, the whole beach thing where they're like Gentiles only, which means like
Oh yeah.
all non-Jewish people. I was like, we had beaches in the 50s that like didn't allow Jewish people. I'm like, what's going on? I was really confused. And I
what'd she
asked her,
say?
she was like, that was more of like a very like urban, like New York, like very like city. Not that wasn't really a thing in the country or rural areas.
So you're saying in liberal areas?
Yeah.
I'll say it. I'll stand on it.
Well, no, I just don't know. Were they liberal back then,
I don't know.
or were they conservative?
Ooh, that's a good
Because
question.
liberals used to be conservative, and now they're liberals.
It's like a
I don't know, that's
polar
confusing.
shift.
So the show itself is called Turning Point: The Bomb in the Cold War.
Boom.
Man, it's so good, and it's been like a nice piggyback in my little World War II cinematic universe I've been building. But yeah,
Called history, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Man, yeah, it's just wild because it's I I know this is gonna sound dumb, but I was like, 5 in the mid '90s.
Okay.
But like the Cold War ended in the mid '90s. Like that was like
Crazy.
15 years ago. That's not that long ago.
Right.
There was some crazy stuff happening in the early '90s that I was not aware of because I was trying to learn
Live
how
in
to
America.
pee in the
Like-
toilet. Yeah, this show has been the fantastic watch, but there's a lot to watch and hear and try to wrap your mind around. The show does a really good job too, like obviously explaining that, like we're talking about the development of the atomic bomb and atomic weapons.
I did like how much they
hydrogen
went into
bomb.
that. Having just watched Oppenheimer too, they gave
Yeah.
a lot of other contextual information around that. I did like how much they went into like the president's like
Mhm.
take on that. They really made Truman out to be like a real douchebag about the whole situation. Good thing
It's-
Homeboy's dead. He would not be
man.
happy about like
Yeah,
guys talking
It's-
mad trash on him.
it's crazy because like obviously what happened is like super tragic, but like at the same time on the other side of the coin it's like after everything that's just happened and Japan is like not surrendering and they attacked
Oh, yeah.
us, like
Did they?
I mean Pearl Harbor, that's seemed pretty evident attack.
Did they though?
I don't know, you're right, that's a good point.
Yes, they did attack us, but was it more like, holy crap, I'm getting punched in the face, or it's like, I'm gonna let you hit me in the face?
And then I'm gonna hit
And
you.
I'm gonna- These
Um,
are registered weapons.
yeah. One of the things that the show does is also adds a lot of context to the current Russia-Ukraine conflict that's happening. Yeah, I recommend the show. It's amazing. It's really something.
It does all connect itself a lot better. And I don't know
Yeah.
if it comes with an age thing or like they're getting better at making these shows more relatable. I think they are getting better at putting that context to it. Like, why is this important? Well, it relates to this thing and that thing and the other. I think they're
Mhm.
doing better at that than just telling maybe what used to be kind of more just like propaganda stories. Discovery Channel stuff. They're just like, yeah, America, fuck yeah. Like, we won the
Team
war.
America.
And they do a better job, I think, these days, especially with World War II, being like, yeah, we kind of slowly worked our way toward Berlin. Meanwhile, the Russians were just like hauling ass, just like murdering everyone in their path. And they, it's like there are more people playing the game here. And I also like the testimonials in this show because they do offer different people with different opinions on the matter. Because they're obviously everyone, I think, dragged Truman through the dirt, except one person. But yeah, it's just very interesting because you're
Mhm.
also talking about people that either were close to the government or were in the government. The one guy I was just talking about, he's like, yeah, I saw our all-out nuclear war plan or their plans for it. He's like, it was atrocious. It was just like, fuck it. Like, if it comes to that, it comes to that. And he was like,
No one's walking out of this thing.
yeah. In that scenario, which is our really only plan, how many people are dying?
Yeah,
They
that
gave a number.
was
But like the first set of numbers were like just China and Russia. He's like, yeah,
it's like the immediate
Yeah.
impact, and it
It's
was
just
a
like-
staggering number.
it was like 60 million or it was 60 million or something. And he was like, okay, but what about like other countries? Like these are nukes. They're like, okay, they come back a few weeks later and they're like 100 million here, 100 million here.
Yeah, it ended up
Another
being
100
like
million. It was a
That's
fifth of the world
crazy.
population at the time. Was
Yeah.
the
20% of the world.
that was hilarious.
I mean, hilarious and extremely terrifying.
Yeah. Man.
But yeah, man, it's really good. And then I discovered that they have another docuseries, Turning Point. It's this one will be a great watch about 9/11. Real excited to get into that one.
11, the War on Terror.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Nick. So we got a ways to go before we reach that series.
You're not ready for what was that like Phase 4?
Phase
Phase
four.
you. It's a real shit show. Like none of it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, we're still.
Oh god,
That's
wait,
so
Ramsey.
accurate. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're still in phase 2, baby. I think this was the kickoff of phase
Oh
2.
yeah. I kind of
Um,
almost want to not finish Turning Point, but if I have to, I must. But
mhm,
I don't want to. Where doesn't it end in like the 80s or something? 90s?
mm-mm.
Oh, how far does it go?
I mean, this show is created to explain the Russia-Ukraine thing.
Yeah, but not beside that, like the historical stuff that they go through.
I mean,
Does it
it
like
basically
oh,
like just runs up
S-
to.
see that I
Mhm.
don't want to get that far forward because I want to go back and watch the Pacific. I already feel like I'm too far along. I want to go back and watch the Pacific.
Well, I mean, Putin's the
President.
like main character of this series.
He's-
So I think you're probably good with watching the Pacific. Finishing this.
Okay. I just want to finish my Spielberg Tom Hanks trilogy
Yeah.
of war movies.
You been watching anything else?
I have one more. Another show
Surprise.
that's also on Apple.
Shocking.
It is called Dark Matter.
Well, let me
Just-
guess. Another alien invasion, and society uses a female Chinese scientist to communicate with it.
You got
Nailed it?
Nailed it.
Nice.
Dark Matter is not about aliens at all.
Whoa.
I know.
Dark Matter.
It's crazy. I'm only 2 episodes in, so we'll have to revisit this at some point.
Okay.
A dude gets abducted into an alternate version of his life. It's
Very Neo.
it's got Jennifer Connelly in it,
Okay.
Joel Edgerton. First 2 episodes really good. A lot of questions. A lot of weird stuff going on. My type of show. Someone dies pretty early on.
2 people have a conversation.
At a place.
A lot of crazy stuff happens. A lot of confusion. A whole lot of confusion, but really good. They kind of explain what's happening, like
Mhm.
right off the rip. But it's okay. So how did we get to this point? Like they're kind of like peeling back the layers, which is
Nice.
pretty cool.
Now, does it go too many layers at once, or do you think they're
I think
layering the confusion at like a good pace that's not
I
overwhelming?
mean, being 2 episodes in, I don't feel overwhelmed. I mean, it's a lot of stuff happening all at once, but
Yeah.
it's just stuff happening. It's not like explanations too much.
hmm
Then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, this is what happened. Like
Mm.
this is the cause of this.
Right. That's cool. It always sucks when a show just is like, all right, here are all the story threads we're gonna go like through, and then they just like take that box and like dump it on you in
Uh-huh.
one episode. You're like, what is going on right now? It's good to hear that they didn't do that though.
I mean, they do dump a lot of stuff on you within the first 2 episodes, but it's not like trying to dig yourself out of a 10-foot hole.
Right. That's good. There is a show on Apple that I keep forgetting that I want to watch, but every time I turn on Apple Plus, it's like half the time it's a trailer before the show I'm trying to watch starts. And that's Manhunt. It's like the opposite
yeah.
direction in my historical cinematic universe. But it's the hunt for John
I
Wilkes
keep-
Booth.
I keep saying that too in my
Yeah, it looks really cool.
yeah.
Didn't need to watch that. soon.
Get a firm grasp on the 20th century,
Mhm.
and then you can go back to
Yeah,
like
then
the
we'll go
founding
back.
father and other presidents, and then you can be really mind blown at how far off the rails we are.
Right?
You guys have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up here? I think it's pretty good. Nice to just have a chill episode, catching each other up, just hanging out.
A lot of alien shows.
Yeah, a lot of
me.
aliens on Apple. All right. Well, make sure you visit the Patreon, patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Check it out. Subscribe, sign up. I forget exactly which tier you need to be to get Patreon exclusive episodes. I think it's the second or third tier, sign up there so you can play along with us for the Pale Beyond playthrough. And I believe the second tier, you get early access to the unedited episodes, which I'm sure there's plenty of stuff edited out of this one that you can enjoy as a tier 2 patron. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you're watching if you've been watching any of the things we have. And we'll see if my historical drama movie watching trend continues throughout the year, and if Dad ever stops watching stuff about aliens. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace. I can't get over how small that cow painting is.
It's actually just a
huge
wallet
in real
picture.
life.
It does look like it looks so small, but that thing's like bigger than 2 of my 3 children.